Okay, welcome to my channel. So I get a lot of questions about the continuum of care, okay? And there seems to be a lot of confusion about the differences between a CoC and HUD. Look, HUD's for people that have a lease, that own a home, that are just low income. You go in, you apply, you get on a waiting list for, um, public housing, or you may get on a list for a voucher to go to a private citizen that has a property which you can rent. The Continuum of Care is another program, and its original intended purpose was strictly for the homeless, but it's evolved to help people that are homeless, that are imminently homeless, which means that you're in a lease and you're going to be probably homeless the next 14 days, and also for people that are just low income. So that covers a lot of people. And the reason I suggest continuum of care programs so much for every state is because one, because it does deal with homeless, a lot of the resources that you might find that you need are going to be extremely pooled in this particular area through a COC, and you'll see the more that I talk. So let me read you a little bit of what it says. Obviously, you can read for yourself. It's from the HUD Exchange, but the Continuum program is designed to promote countrywide commitment to the goal of ending homelessness, providing funding for efforts for nonprofits, providers, state and local governments to quickly rehouse homeless individuals, families, while minimizing the trauma, dislocation caused to the homeless individuals, families, and communities by homelessness, blah, 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 and just promotes a bunch of different things. Look, it's evolved. It's evolved a lot, and it's a faster system, faster way to get into the system than going through HUD, okay? Especially when you have a lot of problems. Look, I want to make something very clear. Most of you guys that are already subscribed to my channel see my low income, how to get low income housing videos, which you can go a link in the description and go and see those videos. Occasionally I get people that complain, well, you make it sound so easy. Look, this is not Macy's. You're not going to just walk up to a register and they're going to hand you some champagne and life's going to be just easy, okay? It's not easy to go to the DMV. It's not easy to apply for food stamps, and it's not easy to apply for any kind of HUD housing. Imagine this: you don't have a guide. You don't even have videos from a person like me that understands the system very well. Where do you think you'd be then? You certainly don't need to be on my page complaining about it, okay? Because without these videos, really what you have is nothing. So I'm just saying that I've warned all of y'all, anytime you're looking for something free, that's going to come with some resistance, okay? So if you don't have a patience for it, there's always a spot under the bridge for you, okay? So just be grateful that there are people who want to help you at no cost, and I'm one of those people. I like to help people, and that's what I want to do, okay? So, more about the continuum care. So when HUD, for whatever reason, they'd rather not have all the homeless people, I guess, at the HUD buildings, applying that way, because HUD's looking for people that are on a lease and all that make a small, low income up to moderate, okay? And so what happens is you have all these nonprofits that are extensions of HUD, okay? So they have the same power to house you, they have the same programs, but they're, a little bit more on the homeless side, okay? That's why I recommend those programs, because for one, things like I said are quicker. There are more resources there, and you can qualify the same way through a COC as you would with a HUD. Okay. Now, another thing I would like to talk about, is I give you guys manuals. These are employee manuals that show you the test, and if you look at how they ask the questions, and you can figure out just how many problems you have, and you're able to see how you score versus walking into a building and not knowing how to get yourself to the top of the list. I mean, I go in great detail with all this stuff. But it would appear that a lot of people just want to watch 4 minutes and think they're going to get an answer. It took me 10 years. 10 years. When I was in my 20s, I crossed the country and was homeless because I wanted to be, okay? I wanted to travel. It's just like being a backpacker. I traveled 23 states, was on the streets out there close to a decade. I worked the system in, let's see, Louisiana, Houston, Texas, Seattle, Washington, San Francisco, Chicago, Illinois, Atlanta, Georgia. Okay, so that's 7 different cities. You're not going to find anybody else out there that knows as much about these programs as I do. And if they do, they've been out there, okay? Most homeless people don't ever really leave where they go. I went all over the country. I work through systems in big cities like San Francisco and Chicago, all the way down to country towns like Baton Rouge, New Orleans. So I understand how all of these things work, and there is a common element, okay? Now, moving on from that, I'd like to show you a few more things, okay? So, Continuum of Care, as we know, is an extension. So basically, whichever nonprofit decides they want to be a CoC opens it up, and it has pretty much the same powers as HUD. Let's take a look at a CoC in the city of Houston. Okay, it's called Compass. Okay, usually every city has. If you're real small, the city may only have one CoC, moderate 3 or 4, and if you're a fairly large city, you may have 5 or 6 locations where you can go and apply. Let me tell you what all they can do at the building besides give you tests, ask you a bunch of questions, and get you on a waiting list very quickly for housing. These people can help you pay your rent if you're going to be imminently homeless. They can help you pay your electric bill. Um, they can obviously help you find employment, but I've found that usually is just a big gamble because it's really not that easy. They can give you bus tokens. They can automatically help you apply for food stamps on the spot where you can walk out the building with a food stamp card in your hand, okay? Do you think all of these resources are going to be at HUD? No. No. You know, you got a HUD, you're just going to get one thing out of that situation that's going to be on a list, and then you'll get an email once a month or whatever. So like I've expressed through all of my videos is, yeah, it's not easy. First of all, CoCs, half your line is going to be homeless. The other half are going to be people that figured it out that this is an easier path. You're going to be out there with low income. You're going to be out there with mothers that got 10 screaming children. You're going to have to, you know, if it opens up at 9, then obviously you want to be there at 7, be the first person. Be the first person in line, okay? So, yeah, it's not easy. There's no champagne, and it's not Macy's, okay? If you really don't like the way that works, you're always welcome to go down to the HUD and figure it out for yourself, okay? And see where that gets you. Now, with that being said, you can also pick up your medical care. A lot of big cities have places that can process you for medical care. Like in the city of Houston, you know, they have what they call a gold card, and they also have another type of clinic that will provide all the medical care for free, okay? It's something they don't just advertise to everybody. With that, they have their own pharmacies. And did you know in the city of Houston, if you go through the Gold Card, they pay for your medications, all of them, any kind that there is, as long as it's approved, okay? These people can help you get eyeglasses. They can help you get your birth certificate for free. They can give you a check to go and replace your ID or your driver's license. There's just a wealth of things. Again, if you want to go down to the HUD and do what you've got to do, go for it. If you want to go to a CoC and get everything that you need, then do it that way, okay? Now, as I've already told you guys, you email me, I send you employee manuals. You can reverse engineer these manuals to make it work in your favor. Yes, you're going to go through a little bit of drama lining up. It's not going to be easy. Workers are usually overworked, you know, and don't always have a great attitude. So what? You know? So what if people have a good attitude? Do you think you have one right now while you're struggling? You don't. So, you know, you do what you need to do and what you have to do. So, let's move on. So, besides all those different things, so you get in there, they're going to ask you a bunch of questions, okay? So, they're preliminary questions. If you've actually watched any of my videos in their full length, you'll learn how the scoring system works. And of course, if you're asking for manuals, you get the manuals, you learn everything you need to know, you answer your questions correctly. Within 24 to 48 hours, these people will tell you what they're going to do. In most cases, they'll tell you before you even leave the building. Within 7 days, they come up with a plan, and with 30 to 60 days, they will house you one way or another. Now, there are cases in large cities like New York, California, you know, where things are much more difficult and the demand is very great even through a CoC. So yes, there's going to be a wait. There's no disillusion about that, but it's still a hell of a lot faster than going down to HUD itself. HUD is designed for people that already have a job, that are already on a lease, that already have a title to a home, that are moderate, okay? Everybody else out here that's struggling, that's fixing to get thrown out because of a pandemic, you should be over here at a CoC, okay? That's just what it is. Now, I want to go down and show you a little glimpse right now because we're getting additional funding. So we're going to go down here and I'm going to talk briefly about this. You know, on this page, you can read everything, introduction to the program, the duties, the responsibility, the costs, just about everything that the employees have is right here, okay? This is the primary through the HUD. Okay. Now I'm looking for it. Okay, so HUD announces 2.96 billion in ESG CB awards. What this means right now is because there's a pandemic going on, and of course it's going to load slowly. We have extra funding out there, okay? And this extra funding is going to allow people to go down to COCs, potentially be put up at hotels, and for the process to move just as slow, but you're going to have more options right now because there's more funding available. If you're at risk of homelessness, they may be able to cut your check for your rent, for your electric bill. I mean, there's a number of things they can do with that extra funding. They're not going to offer you these options at HUD, okay? For those of you that have a really hard head. And it looks like we're struggling, so I'm going to reset the connection here to connect and try it again. It's always tough when you're making a video and you have to slow down. Okay, so here we are. HUD announces 2.96 billion ESG awards. And I want to, we're going to take a read of this real quick. So it's looking at the homeless population, looking at the unsheltered, but it's also looking at the very low income and BLI renters, okay? Even for overcrowding, if you have kitchen or plumbing problems. So there's a number of resources with this, and I'll make a video specifically about all of this. But guys, you should get out there and try a COC before you bitch to me about, okay, well, I thought this would be real easy. I just check in and check out, and then going about my life. Look, life doesn't work that way. If you don't have a firm grip on reality, then my videos are not for you. So, okay, so now that I've said that, hopefully that explains what a COC. It's just simply an extension of HUD. It was primarily designed for the homeless, but now it's evolved in dealing with low income, and it also has a lot more resources. They house you quicker with rapid what do they call it, rapid rehousing, and they can provide vouchers. They can provide everything that HUD does, but even more. And then if you have mental problems, health problems, and all those additional things, you can earn a lot of additional points that put you much higher in the list. These are questions they're generally not going to ask you at HUD, so that means that you can only potentially earn enough points through actual HUD location to get you about halfway up the list. With a COC, you can skyrocket much higher up, past that 50% mark, to get much higher on the list. So the option is always going to be whether or not you want to do that. If you don't want to do that, then I'm not sure how to help you. I'm not going to make videos about going to a HUD office, okay? That would be ridiculous. There's an application, somebody talks to you, you fill in the information. If you start talking about your income, your Social Security, your disability checks, and all that stuff, then they're going to want an income verification. Then you go down to, if you're in Texas, then you go to Workforce Solutions and they print out what your income is. In some states, you go to the IRS. In other states, it may be Health and Human Services. You go in and get a free copy of your income. Them asking you for a verification of income doesn't prove anything, okay, unless you're making over $40,000 a year. I don't think any Social Security check's going to pay you out $42,000 in a year, okay? So just stop complaining about that stuff. And if that's what they want, then go get it. If you want to really be prepared, have all your documents and everything ready to go. Have all your medical problems, have a homeless letter, and all these different things. And actually, I'm going to make a video for those of you that simply want to have every document ready. That's fine. But let me tell you something. If you walk in there that prepared through a COC, then you're going to raise their eyebrows a little bit on that. Okay? Because what they're used to is telling you what you need to do, then you go out there and you go do it, okay? So I'm suggesting don't go in there like you know it all, and you certainly don't tell them you have these manuals, okay? Because then they're just going to think that you're gaming the system. So look, as always, I hope my manuals and my videos help. If they don't help, you can always go to some of the other videos. I know one guy will sell you information. He'll give you 30 seconds of advice, and then you give him $5. You can always take that avenue, okay? Thank you.